Hello, Merry Christmas and welcome to another episode of Chuchu as a Ranker. Or, if you're not watching this in the festive season, say in the middle of summer or something, then happy whatever season it is. I hope you're all getting drunk as monkeys and having a great time, whenever or wherever you're watching. Unless, of course, it's, driving a car. In which case, you certainly shouldn't be as drunk as a monkey. And you should probably also stop watching this and start paying attention to the road, as I'm fairly sure that old lady you just hit is actually dead. But the question is, what does the Chuchu have in his goodie bag for you this Yuletide season? Well, we all like to get together with the family at Christmas, but it's never too long until a fight breaks out and we're all at each other's throats with the turkey cleavers. Am I right? Anyway, it's time for good old Christmas ruckus. So, let me get into character here. Ding ding! The following contest is a fatal four-way match. The only way to win is to collect points in the following chronological ranking tournament. The artist with the most points after all rounds have finished will be declared the winner. So, let's introduce our competitors in alphabetical order. First, hailing from Crawley, England, with a discography weighing in at 13 albums, fronted by the iconic Robert Smith, we have true titans of 1980s post-punk, The Cure! And their opponent, hailing from Belfast, Northern Ireland, with a discography weighing in at 12 albums, which puts this artist at an immediate disadvantage, but who doesn't love an underdog? The brainchild of the always charming Neil Hannon, The Divine Comedy! And their opponents, hailing from Liverpool, England, with a discography weighing in at 13 albums, we have another titan of 1980s post-punk, Echo and the Bunnymen! And their opponent, hailing from Manchester, England, with a discography weighing in at 13 albums, he was the singer of the Smiths. Now flying solo, we have Stephen Patrick Morrissey! So, now our contestants are ready, let's have a nice clean fight. No unreliable, truculent or devious behaviour, Morrissey. And of course, to you dear viewer, don't take this too seriously, it's not intended that way, it's just a bit of hopefully entertaining nonsense. Just let your hair down, have a drink and cheer for your favourite artist. And without further ado, let's be complete rankers and rank up a storm as we head into the Ranker Pit! Round 1, the Battle of the Debuts, and in this round we have Three Imaginary Boys by The Cure from 1979, Crocodiles by Echo and the Bunnymen from 1980, Viva Hate by Morrissey from 1988, and Fanfare for the Comic Muse by The Divine Comedy from 1989. And our contestants are all looking fresh-faced and fancy-free, but there is only one 5-star album up for grabs in this round. So, are you ready? On 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in 4th place and taking home a solitary point, we have Fanfare for the Comic Muse by The Divine Comedy, and this is a weird outlier in the band's discography. It doesn't sound anything else like any other Divine Comedy record, it's just kind of this late 80s post-REM, post-Smith Jangle record, and not a very good one, and for the longest time Neil Hannon tried to hide this away from everybody and pretend it didn't exist. But I see you, Neil Hannon, you can't hide from me, I'm like Sauron from Lord of the Rings. And talking about Sauron, do you ever think like when Frodo's in a really safe place like the Elven City or whatever, he just slips on the Ring of Power, lies back and has a sly wank and forces Sauron to watch him do it? Food for thought. 2 stars for this. Coming in 3rd place and taking home 2 points, we have Three Imaginary Boys by The Cure. So The Cure sound really youthful in this. This owes more to punk than gothica, and much like the Divine Comedy record that came before it, this doesn't really sound like any other Cure album. It has its own kind of distinct twee flavour, which I really rather like. However, it does have an inconfidence, it doesn't always seem to know what it's doing, and there are a couple of really terrible tracks on it, like Meat Hook or the awful cover of Jimi Hendrix's Foxy Lady. But on the flip side, Firing Cairo absolutely fucking rules. 3.5 stars. Coming in 2nd place and taking home 3 points, we have Crocodiles from Echo and the Bunnymen. So this is basically the complete opposite from the Cure record. This is very confident. It knows exactly what it's doing. It's very wiry, very tight, very angular. Has lots of like short, sharp punk songs like Do It Clean, Stars of Stars, Pride, Monkeys, Crocodiles, as well as some early Echo and the Bunnymen classics like Rescue or Villiers Terrace. This is an absolutely fantastic debut album. 4.5 stars. Coming in first place and taking home the full 4 stars, we have Viva Hate by Morrissey. So Morrissey was obviously reeling from the breakup of the Smiths on this, and he's retreated back into his past and has crafted a set of lyrics that are both nostalgic and mournful, and it's an incredibly potent emotional mix. Plus Stephen Street's backing compositions are wide and spacious, and there are plenty of classics on this: Suede Head, Every Day's Like Sunday, Angel Angel Down We Go Together, Late Night Magdalen Street, Break Up the Family. Yeah, this is an absolute masterpiece. 5 stars. So, all eyes to the scoreboard. Obviously not much to report here because it is the first round. As you can see, Morrissey is taking the early lead, but it is still early days. So let's see how it plays out in round 2. Round 2, a battle of the sophomore albums, and in this round we have 17 Seconds by The Cure from 1980, Heaven's Up Here by Echo and the Bunnymen from 1981, Kill Uncle by Morrissey from 1991, and Liberation by the Divine Comedy from 1993. So on this round, everybody's kind of easing off the gas a little bit. No 5-star records in this particular round. So are you ready? On 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in fourth and taking home a solitary point, we have 17 Seconds by The Cure. So on this, The Cure are taking the first tentative steps into Gothica, and very important steps they are, but this album doesn't really sound fleshed out. A lot of these compositions are kind of underbaked, but on the flip side, the best ones, for example A Forest, are absolute bangers, and it does have an X-Element retro charm, so I'm going for 3 stars. Coming in third place and taking home 2 points, we have Kill Uncle by Morrissey, which was Morrissey's weird skiffle pop record that he made with Marquis Nevin from the Fairground Attraction. And this kind of sepia tinged and doesn't sound anything else like any other Morrissey record. It's completely unique within his discography. It doesn't get a lot of love from the critics, but I personally really love it because it's got tons of great songs on it. R. Frank, Sing Your Life, I'm the End of the Family Line, Driving Your Girlfriend Home, There Is a Place in Hell for Me and My Friends. So yeah, controversially, I'm giving this 4 stars. Coming in second and taking home 3 points, we have Heaven Up Here by Echo and the Bunnymen, and just like The Cure, here the Bunnymen are pushing further on into Gothica, and that results in some absolute post-punk standards. A Show of Strength, Over the Wall, All My Colours, The Disease are just absolutely fantastic. The rest of the tracks are kind of like angular but also funky at the same time, which leads to a bit of a juxtaposition on the record, but I think it really works. This is a fantastic follow-up album, 4.5 stars. Coming in first place and taking home the full 4 points, we have Liberation by the Divine Comedy, which is an absolutely fantastic European-inflected chamber pop record which shows off Neil Hannon's wit very nicely and has tons of variety on it, from the bouncing jangle of Bernice Bobs Hair, the pop singer's Fear of the Pollen Count and Lucy, to the funeral organs of Three Sisters, to the sweeping strings of Time Watching, to the kitsch disco of Europop. This is delightfully twee and absolutely fantastic. 4.5 stars. To the scoreboard we go once again to find Morrissey and Echo and the Bunnymen tied for first place with 6 points apiece, the Divine Comedy moving up to third place with 5 points, and The Cure languishing in last place with 3 points. Round 3, and in round 3 we have Faith by The Cure from 1981, Porcupine by Echo and the Bunnymen from 1983, Your Arsenal by Morrissey from 1992, and Promenade by the Divine Comedy from 1994. And yet the engines are really starting to rev in this one because we have 3 5-star records in this round. So are you ready? On 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in fourth place and taking home a solitary point, we have Faith by The Cure. So this is a really atmospheric gothic record. It's very dour, it's very somber, and the tracks kind of like melt into the texture of the record. There aren't that many standouts on this particular record, but it is a classic of that kind of atmospheric gothic genre. Cure fans really tend to love this one. I don't love this record quite as much as they do, even though I do absolutely adore the song All Cats Are Great, but I still think it's great. An easy 4 stars. Coming in third and taking home 2 points, we have Promenade by the Divine Comedy. So this is a beautiful Parisian-style chamber pop record. Has some really witty, funny cuts on it, like a seafood song and The Book Lovers, but also these grandiose, sweeping, emotional classics like The Summer House and Geronimo. Yeah, I absolutely love this record. In fact, it is actually my favourite Divine Comedy record, but unfortunately, it's just getting outplayed by better records in this round. But still, 5 stars. Coming in second and taking home 3 points, we have Your Arsenal by Morrissey. So this was the moment where Morrissey managed to gather together his permanent backing band with Alan White and Boz Bora and such like, and paid homage to all of his glam rock heroes. This is a really ferocious, rough and tumble rock record. It's really consistent from start to finish and exactly what Morrissey needed at this point in his career. And it has Will Let You Know, Seasick Yet Still Docked, and I Know It's Gonna Happen Someday on it. I mean, come on, get the fuck out of town. 5 stars. Coming in first place and taking home the full 4 stars, we have Porcupine by Echo and the Bunnymen. So this is just one of the greatest post-punk records of all time. It's twisted and fucked up and dark, and it has like this level of sonic depth that few records can actually match. I mean, this is truly a record where you can hear something new every single time you listen. And so many goddamn fantastic songs on here. The Cutter, The Back of Love, Clay, Heads Will Roll, In Bluer Skies. This is just twisted, messed up, post-punk perfection. I love it. 5 stars. All eyes to the skies and the scoreboards as Echo and the Bunnymen sort out the men from the boys by moving into first place with 10 points. Morrissey is in second place with 9 points. The Divine Comedy remains in third place with 7 points. And The Cure still lingers in last place with 4 points. Round 4, although looking at these albums, maybe that should be round 4, because in this round we have Pornography by The Cure from 1982, Ocean Rain by Echo and the Bunnymen from 1984, Voxel on I by Morrissey from 1994, and Casanova by The Divine Comedy from 1996. And yeah, I mean, you could do this whole tournament ranking malarkey like 1,000 times over, but never get around quite like this, because here we have 4 Purloin 5-star albums. So are you ready? On 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in fourth and taking home a solitary point, we have Casanova by The Divine Comedy. So this was The Divine Comedy's huge breakout record. It's this absolutely gargantuan, orchestral, bombastic pop album, and it has a lyrical concept about being a playboy, which can be very funny indeed. Has some of the band's most famous songs on it, like Something for the Weekend, Becoming More Like Alfie, The Frog Princess, Songs of Love. But it also features some fantastic bohemian wit. Tracks like In and Out of London and Paris, Charge, Woman of the World Through a Long and Sleepless Night are absolutely hilarious. This is a pop masterpiece, 5 stars. Coming in third and taking home 2 points, we have Voxel on I by Morrissey. So in the run-up to this album, Morrissey suffered a spate of deaths in his inner circle. You know what? I've said that sentence like a whole bunch of times on this channel because I've just covered this album so many damn times, so I am officially going to change things up right here. In the run-up to this, Morrissey managed to somehow cut every single one of his fingers off with a rusty bread knife. Quite how he managed to chop off that last finger without any opposable digits is a mystery, but the man is a genius, he can do anything, and on this he creates his saddest, most cathartic, and dare I say miserable album of his career, also his best one in my opinion. So many classics on this. Now My Heart Is Full, Why Don't You Find Out For Yourself, The More You Ignore Me The Closer I Get, and Speedway. Yet this is an absolute masterpiece, 5 stars. Coming in second and taking home 3 points, we have Pornography by The Cure. So this is straight up just one of the darkest records of all time. Has these huge, glowering, post-punk, gothic soundscapes that just come jumping out the speakers at you. And it has a real kind of desperation woven into the scenes. It has a really kind of frantic sadness about it. And tracks like Cold, A Strange Day, 100 Years, absolutely phenomenal. Just one of the greatest post-punk records of all time. 5 stars. Coming in first and taking home the full 4 points, we have Ocean Rain by Echo and the Bunnymen, which is Echo and the Bunnymen's masterpiece. And yeah, the post-rock minimalism, the sweeping strings, those gorgeous jangly guitars, and tracks like Killing Moon, Seven Seas, the title track Ocean Rain, it is just simply one of the greatest records ever recorded in the history of music. It is wonderful. 5 stars. All aboard for the score check, and things are remaining pretty much how they were. Echo and the Bunnymen are extending their lead in first with 14 points. Morrissey still in second with 11 points. The Divine Comedy remain in third place with 8 points. And The Cure catching up with 7 points but still in last place. Round 5, and in round 5 we have The Top by The Cure from 1984. Echo and the Bunnymen's self-titled album from 1987, Southpaw Grammar by Morrissey from 1995, and a short album about love by the Divine Comedy from 1997. And yeah, everybody's kind of stepping off the gas in this round. No 5-star records here, but who can blame them because the last round was so exhausting. So are you ready? On 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in fourth and taking home a solitary point, we have Southpaw Grammar by Morrissey. So here Morrissey turns in completely the opposite direction from his previous album, Vauxhall and I, and just makes a grungy, hard rock record basically. It's famously bookended by two 10-minute songs that, to be honest, don't work as well as I think Morrissey thought they might, but everything in between those two songs is absolute classic Morrissey gravy. Dagenham Dave, Best Friend on the Payroll, The Operation, great tunes. Love this record, 4 stars. Coming in third and taking home 2 points, we have the self-titled album by Echo and the Bunnymen. So Echo and the Bunnymen put aside the post-punk on this and head in a new wave pop direction, and there are plenty of great songs on this. The Game, Bombers Bay, Lips Like Sugar, Lost and Found, New Direction, but also filler is starting to creep in at the edges. But still, I love this record, 4 stars. Coming in second and taking home 3 points, we have a short album about love by the Divine Comedy. And yes, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's very short, it is about love. It's full of these grandiose, showy string sections and has a deep romantic vibe to it. And if you are looking for that quick hit of classical Baroque pop, this more than satisfies, 4 stars. Coming in first and taking home the full 4 points, we have The Top by The Cure. So The Cure are also turning in a pop direction on this, but in a really weird, off-kilter, idiosyncratic kind of way. This record doesn't get a lot of love from the critics, but I personally think it's really underrated. I really love this record. I love its odd, kooky nature, and tracks like Bird Mad Girl, The Wailing Wall, The Caterpillar, Piggy in the Mirror, absolutely fantastic. 4 stars. All eyes on the swaggering ass of the scoreboard. Echo and the Bunnymen are still dominating at the top with 16 points. Morrissey still in second place with 12 points, but The Cure and the Divine Comedy have tied up with 11 points, both in third place. Round 6, and in round 6 we have The Head on the Door by The Cure from 1985, Reverberation by Echo and the Bunnymen from 1990, Maladjusted by Morrissey from 1997, and Fin de Circle whatever by the Divine Comedy from 1998. No 5-star records in this round, unfortunately. Some artists are starting to stutter a little bit, while other artists are keeping an even kill. So are you ready? On 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in fourth and taking home a solitary point, we have Reverberation by Echo and the Bunnymen, and this is the album where the singer Ian McCulloch left and was replaced by Noel Burke. And yeah, it's just a really bland, insipid jangle record. Nothing really to recommend about this except for maybe the lead single Enlighten Me, which is pretty cool. But is Echo and the Bunnymen really Echo and the Bunnymen without Ian McCulloch? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe they should change the name and be called like Echo and the Slightly Shit Singer Men. 2 stars. Coming in third place and taking home 2 points, we have Maladjusted by Morrissey. So this is a really kind of lazy and badly sequenced album by Morrissey. It did have potential to be great, as proved by the latter day remaster. And there are some really great songs on this. Maladjusted, Satan Rejected My Soul, Trouble Loves Me, Wide to Receive. But on the flip side, you also have Papa Jack, which makes me want to find Morrissey wherever he is and just kick him right in his fucking nuts. But still, Morrissey's weakest record is better than some artists' best record, so I'm still giving this 3 stars. Coming in second place, maybe controversially, and taking home 3 points, we have The Head on the Door by The Cure. So on this, The Cure are pushing more into pop and stadium rock, and there are plenty of great tracks on this. In Between Days, The Blood, Push, A Night Like This. It's a really popular Cure record. Lots of Cure fans really love it, but I don't know, this one just doesn't quite sing to me in the same way it does for most Cure fans. There are a few too many underbaked tunes, but I still like it and will give it 4 stars. Coming in first place and taking home the full 4 points, we have the Divine Comedy with Fin de Circle. I don't know, speak English, man. I mean, how would you like it if I started speaking Japanese? Maru no owari desu. There you go, how'd you like that? Hey, you pretentious fucker. Anyway, this record is great. Has a very kind of like cold German efficient feel to the record. It's really, really cool. Plenty of great songs. Generation Sex, Thrill Seeker, Commuter Love. Love Commuter Love. Huge ballad. Fantastic. National Express. Here Comes the Flood. Sunrise. Yep, great stuff. 4 stars. Mina, scoreboard mite o kudasai. So Echo and the Bunnymen are still maintaining a stranglehold on the top with 17 points, but the Divine Comedy have moved up to second place with 15 points, while Morrissey and The Cure are tied for third place with 14 points apiece. Round 7, and in round 7 we have Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me by The Cure from 1987, Evergreen by Echo and the Bunnymen from 1997, You Are the Quarry by Morrissey from 2004, and Regeneration by The Divine Comedy from 2001. And in this round, the early career is finished, the mid-period has started, there's plenty of reunion and comeback and style change-ups in this particular round, but only a solitary 5-star record. So are you ready? On 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in fourth and taking home a solitary point, we have Regeneration by The Divine Comedy. So this is the one where Neil Hannon decides to change tact, gets rid of his old image and his old style and replaces it with a kind of maudlin sensibility, hires the producer of OK Computer and just tries to become Radiohead basically. The emulation on this is really slavish and faintly embarrassing, but it's still really, really good. Just through the power of straight songwriting and consistency, there isn't a bad song on this, and plenty of really good tracks. Eye of the Needle, Lost Property, Time Stretched, Bad Ambassador, Love What You Do. Yeah, this is a good record, 3.5 stars. Coming in third and taking home 2 points, we have Evergreen by Echo and the Bunnymen. So this is the band's reunion album. After 7 years away, they've reunited with their original singer, but sadly sans their original drummer Pete DeFritis because he died in a motorcycle accident. And this was released in the Britpop period, and it really sounds like it. It's got lots of like Britpoppy style guitars and plenty of great tracks. Don't Let It Get You Down, I Want to Be There When You Come, You Dirty Bastards, Nothing Lasts Forever, Too Young to Kneel, Just a Touch Away. Yeah, plenty of good tunes, but it is held back from true greatness by a really bad closing track and a couple of songs that, whilst individually good, sound a bit too similar, but still this has a kind of classicism about it. 4 stars. Coming in second and taking home 3 points, we have You Are the Quarry by Morrissey. So this was his comeback record after also being away for 7 years. And this is his most angry record. I mean, he's taking pot shots at absolutely everybody on this, but not in a funny, witty kind of way, just in a I'm really pissed off kind of way. But he juxtaposes that by making some of the most slickest pop rock of his entire career, and there are plenty of great tracks on this. Irish Blood, English Heart, I Have Forgiven Jesus, Come Back to Camden, The World is Full of Crashing Bores, First of the Gang to Die. Yeah, tons of classics on this. It's a great album by Morrissey, 4.5 stars. Coming in first and taking home the full 4 points, we have Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me by The Cure. So this is an album of juxtapositions. It's overlong, it's 1 hour and 18 minutes, yet it doesn't feel long. It feels like a brisk 40-minute record. None of The Cure's best songs are on this, but all of them hit a good, consistent level. The sound palette of this record is a bit one note, but it's saved through tons of variety within its songwriting. Ultimately, this is just a really snappy, atmospheric Cure record that hits many different moods in quick succession, and in fact, I think it's one of the better double albums out there. 5 stars. Reuniting at the scoreboard once again, Echo and the Bunnymen are maintaining their lead with 19 points, The Cure moving up to second place with 18 points, Morrissey remains in third with 17 points, and the Divine Comedy dropping back down to fourth with 16 points. Round 8, and in round 8 we have Disintegration by The Cure from 1989, What Are You Going to Do With Your Life by Echo and the Bunnymen from 1999, Ringleader of the Tormentors by Morrissey from 2006, and Absent Friends by The Divine Comedy from 2003. There's one 5-star record in this round, no prizes for guessing which one that is, so are you ready? On 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in fourth and taking home a solitary point, we have Ringleader of the Tormentors by Morrissey, and this is Morrissey at his most autopilot, but Morrissey in autopilot mode is not necessarily a bad thing. He often whacks out bangers when he's in autopilot mode, and so it is on the beginning of this record. I Will See You in Far Off Places, You Have Killed Me, The Youngest Was the Most Loved, In the Future When All's Well, The Father Who Must Be Killed, all really fantastic, but unfortunately the second half of this record is as wobbly as a drunk hooker after a cocaine-fueled gangbang orgy. There's just nothing saved for the back end. It all sounds like fillery kind of B-side material. For me, this is Morrissey's weakest album, 2.5 stars. Coming in third and taking home 2 points, we have Absent Friends by The Divine Comedy. So on this, Neil Hannon is maintaining the more maudlin aspects from his previous record, but dropping the whole Radiohead shtick, instead making a more stripped-back chamber pop record, which fits more in line with the ethos of his earlier records. And there are plenty of great tracks on this: Come Home Billy Bird, The Record The Beautiful, Our Mutual Friend, Freedom Road, Charmed Life. Yeah, this is a great record, 3.5 stars. Coming in second and taking home 3 points, we have What Are You Going to Do With Your Life by Echo and the Bunnymen. And yeah, I just absolutely adore this record. It's super nostalgic for me, has this really beautiful midlife autumnal vibe to it, which I find incredibly emotionally stimulating, and plenty of amazing tracks. Rust is probably my favourite Echo and the Bunnymen song of all time, and you also have Get in the Car, Baby Rain, When It All Blows Over, and the awesome epic closing track, Fools Like Us. Love, love, love this record. 4.5 stars. Coming in first and taking home the full 4 points, we have Disintegration by The Cure, which is probably the best studio album of the 1980s. It creates this deep, dark, gothic atmosphere that few records can match, and has some of the best ever post-punk songs on it. Plain Song, Pictures of You, Closed Down, Fascination Street, Same Deep Water as You, all fantastic. And then you have the lighter kind of pop songs of Love Song and Lullaby. This record is an absolute masterpiece, an absolutely essential record that every music fan needs to hear. 5 stars. Don't disintegrate just yet. No disintegration. And instead, let's have a look at the scoreboard, because we're all tied up. Morrissey and the Divine Comedy are tied up for third place with 18 points apiece, while The Cure have finally caught up with Echo and the Bunnymen in first place with 22 points each. Round 9, and in round 9 we have Wish by The Cure from 1992, Flowers by Echo and the Bunnymen from 2001, Years of Refusal by Morrissey from 2009, and Victory for the Comic Muse by the Divine Comedy from 2006. So are you ready? On 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in fourth and taking home a solitary point, we have Flowers by Echo and the Bunnymen. So this is a 1960s psychedelic record, and it's very overcluttered and overcooked like psychedelic records tend to be, but unfortunately the songwriting on this is just not very good, and it ends up being an overlong, gloopy, hazy mess of an album. Not much to recommend about this one, unfortunately. 2 stars. Coming in third and taking home 2 points, we have Victory for the Comic Muse by the Divine Comedy. And on this, Neil Hannon is obviously trying to return to the orchestral bombastic pop that was featured on Casanova. But unfortunately, this is just one of those records where the artist is just hitting a brick wall. Neil Hannon sounds like he's out of ideas and out of good tunes on this. It's not awful. I mean, any album with a song as good as A Lady of a Certain Age on it isn't going to be all bad, and that's the case here. But still, there's no denying that this is the nadir of the Divine Comedy. 2.5 stars. Coming in third and taking home 3 points, we have Years of Refusal by Morrissey. So this record was made by the same team that put together You Are the Quarry. It's a really rocking record. In fact, it's one of Morrissey's heaviest and most blustery records. Lyrically speaking, it is a bit vapid, but it is also full of these really kind of energetic, bouncing, slick pop tunes. Yeah, it's just a good old fun pop record. 3.5 stars. Coming in first and taking home the full 4 points, we have Wish by The Cure. So on this, The Cure seem a little bit rudderless. They don't know which direction to go in, so they end up trying to go in every direction, and that leads to a very messy LP, but it's kind of messy in a good way, where it gives a snapshot or overview of many different aspects of The Cure sound. You have the upbeat, bouncing pop of High and Friday I'm in Love, which totally predicted the arrival of Britpop. These huge weeping ballads with Apart and Trust, and the absolutely kick-ass slice of Gothica that is From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea. This is an absolutely fantastic record, The Cure's last great record in my opinion. 4.5 stars. All eyes to the scoreboard, although before we get to that, I will apologise for the sound of my voice on a lot of this episode. I am fighting a really nasty cold. I'm sick as a dog actually, but because this is the Christmas episode, I can't just stop recording or I just won't make the schedule, so I'm just going to try to hammer through it, so apologies for sounding like Tom Waits. But yeah, as I say, the scoreboard. The Cure, after a raft of good records, is finally moving into first place with 26 points. Echo and the Bunnymen officially dropped down for the first time into second place with 23 points. Morrissey in third place with 21 points, and the Divine Comedy dropping back down to fourth with 20 points. Round 10, and in round 10 we have Wild Mood Swings by The Cure from 1996, Siberia by Echo and the Bunnymen from 2005, World Peace is None of Your Business by Morrissey from 2014, and Bang Goes the Knighthood by the Divine Comedy from 2010. So are you ready? On 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in fourth and taking home a solitary point, we have Wild Mood Swings by The Cure. And Wild Mood Swings is right, as this is the band's most inconsistent record. I mean, it's all over the place. You have some really good tracks like Mink Car or Treasure, but most of this is just The Cure at their most uninspired. Even though I do appreciate the more sprightly Britpop style production on this record, I can't recommend it. 2 stars. Coming in third and taking home 2 points, we have World Peace is None of Your Business by Morrissey. So this is Morrissey's world music record, but it's a lot more interesting than that sounds. He really lets his band off the leash here, and they provide some of the most musically interesting compositions of his career, and there are plenty of great tracks on this. Istanbul, Earth is the Loneliest Planet, Neil Cassidy Drops Dead, Kiss Me a Lot, Staircase at the University. Yeah, this is a great late period return to form for Morrissey. 4 stars. Coming in second and taking home 3 points, we have Siberia by Echo and the Bunnymen. So this is Echo and the Bunnymen recapping their career, basically replaying you the hits, but it hits in exactly the right nostalgic way. From the huge ballads of All Because of You days, Everything Kills You, In the Margins, to the rockers of Stormy Weather, Pantheon Drive, Siberia and Scissors in the Sand. This is a really consistent track listing from start to finish, not a weak track on this. It's an absolutely superb late career return to form for Echo and the Bunnymen. 4.5 stars. Coming in first and taking home the full 4 points, we have Bang Goes the Knighthood by The Divine Comedy. So on this, Neil Hannon is stripping things back. This is definitely one of the more acoustic-based records of the band's career, and also one of the funniest. The level of wit that Neil Hannon shows on this is just absolutely sublime, and there are tons of really great tracks on it. The Complete Banker, Neapolitan Girl, Assume the Perpendicular, The Lost Art of Conversation, I Like. Yeah, this is just another spectacular return to form for the band, which is a running theme in this particular round, it seems. 4.5 stars. Back to the scoreboard we swing like an extremely bored married couple to find The Cure still in first place with 27 points. Echo and the Bunnymen are creeping up behind them in second place with 26 points. The Divine Comedy have moved up into third place with 24 points, and Morrissey dropping down to last place with 23 points. Round 11, and in round 11 we have Blood Flowers by The Cure from the year of 2000, The Fountain by Echo and the Bunnymen from 2009, Low End High School by Morrissey from 2017, and Foreverland by The Divine Comedy from 2016. And this very much feels like the beginning of the end. The march of the late career period has begun, so are you ready? On 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in fourth and taking home a solitary point, we have Blood Flowers by The Cure. So this is the final act in a trilogy of gothic albums, which also takes in Pornography and Disintegration. Unfortunately, The Cure have chosen to cap off their trilogy with a boring, overlong, turgid release, with an audio-sonic palette that sounds like whipped up dog shit. And it's probably more fun to accidentally roll your ankle on a carelessly discarded dildo than it is to listen to this rancid slurry. 1.5 stars. Coming in third and taking home 2 points, we have The Fountain by Echo and the Bunnymen. So this is the moment where Echo and the Bunnymen hit the brick wall. I mean, they're just totally out of gas, out of good tunes and ideas on this. This really feels like a will this do kind of record. No, it won't do, but there are a couple of decent songs on the A-side. Shroud of Turin springs to mind, but the B-side of this record is a complete wasteland. Absolutely nothing saved for the back end. Unfortunately, not much to recommend about this. 2 stars. Coming in second and taking home 3 points, we have Low End High School by Morrissey. So this is a really lazy autopilot Morrissey record, but as I've already noted on this episode, sometimes when Morrissey's in autopilot mode, he can knock out bangers, and that's the case on this. Although this won't ever be the most inventive or consistent Morrissey record, tracks like Spent the Day in Bed, I Bury the Living, I Wish You Lonely, When You Open Your Legs, Who Will Protect Us from the Police, and Israel just have a kind of X-element Morrissey charm about them. 3.5 stars. Coming in first and taking home the full 4 points, we have Foreverland by The Divine Comedy, and I think this is the moment where Neil Hannon officially enters into elder statesman / national treasure territory, and here he's taking the more acoustic elements of his previous record and mixing them in with the orchestral flourishes of his earlier stuff, and also heaping in as much twee whimsy as you possibly can, and it works a treat. Tracks like Catherine the Great, To the Rescue, How Can You Leave Me on My Own, I Joined the Foreign Legion to Forget, and A Desperate Man are just absolutely wonderful. 4 stars. Eyes and thoughts off that discarded dildo and whoever owned it, and to the scoreboard because we are mostly tied up. Much like whoever did own that dildo in the first place. Yeah, Echo and the Bunnymen, The Cure and The Divine Comedy have tied up for first place with 28 points apiece, while Morrissey still languishing in last place with 26 points. Round 12. And in round 12 we have the self-titled album by The Cure from 2004, Meteorites by Echo and the Bunnymen from 2014, California Sun by Morrissey from 2019, and Office Politics by The Divine Comedy, also from 2019. And speaking of The Divine Comedy, this is the last round to feature them, so if they want to stay in contention, they're going to have to pull something really special out of the bag here. So let's see if they have. On 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in fourth and taking home a solitary point, we have The Cure by The Cure. And yeah, this is about as autopilot gets. It has this gothic droning soundscape that never really changes across the entirety of the record. It does have a couple of really good songs on it, like The End of the World, for example, or The Promise. But ultimately, whatever X-element charm that The Cure had during their peak has long evaporated at this point in their career. Can't really recommend this. 2.5 stars. Coming in third and taking home 2 points, we have Meteorites by Echo and the Bunnymen. So on this, Echo and the Bunnymen finally turn all the way back to post-punk and smother everything in reverb, which gives this record a really kind of like shoegazy type sound. And yeah, I think it really works. For what it is, I think this is a pretty damn good album. Tracks like Meteorites, Constantinople, Is This a Breakdown, Explosions, Market Town, New Horizons, all really fantastic tunes. Yeah, this is something of a last-minute renaissance for the band. 3.5 stars. Coming in second and taking home 3 points, we have California Sun by Morrissey. So this is Morrissey's covers record that concentrates on 50s and 60s music. And yeah, it works really well. I think Morrissey has chosen his track list very carefully. They all fit right within his wheelhouse, and his renditions of Morning Starship, It's Over, Wedding Bell Blues, Lady Willpower are absolutely fantastic. To be honest, not much more you could ask from a Morrissey covers album. 4 stars. Coming in first and taking home the full 4 points, we have Office Politics by The Divine Comedy. And yeah, the little engine that could has indeed done it. It has pulled a miracle out of the bag, because I love this record. Here the band are turning in a really odd Kinksian concept album direction, and just like the Kinks, it's incredibly twee and incredibly kitsch. So kitsch in fact that the first time I heard this, I absolutely hated this record. Like, I thought Neil Hannon had jumped off the deep end. But when I came back to it in preparation for this episode, I just absolutely fell in love with it. I got absolutely addicted to it and just could not stop listening. Tracks like Q Jumper, Office Politics, Norman and Norma, You'll Never Work in This Town Again, The Life and Soul of the Party, Philip and Steve's Furniture Removal Company, After the Lord Mayor's Show, When the Working Day is Done. Yeah, this track list is absolutely rammed. It's delightful and hilarious. 4.5 stars. So, all eyes on the scoreboard to see The Divine Comedy shocking all the big boys by smashing into first place with 32 points. Echo and the Bunnymen are now in second place with 30 points, while Morrissey and The Cure are tied up with 29 points each, both in third. Let's see how things shake out in the final round. Round 13, and in round 13 we have 413 Dream by The Cure from 2008, The Stars, the Ocean and the Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen from 2018, and I Am Not a Dog on a Chain by Morrissey from 2020. And here we are, after all is said and done, on the cusp of the final round, so let's see how everything's going to shake out on 3, 2, 1, fight! Coming in fourth and taking home a solitary point, we have The Stars, the Ocean and the Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen, and look! There's a homeless man, and he's being sick on the pavement, and oh no, here comes a mangy old dog, and it's eating up the sick, and now it's regurgitating back onto the pavement. But wait, the vomit is showing signs of sentient life. Yeah, there it goes, off it skitters, down into the nearest storm drain. And down there, down in the filth, it starts to coalesce and take shape, forming a glockenspiel version of Nothing Lasts Forever, a hotel lounge version of Rust, and an elevator music version of The Killing Moon. And oh my god, now it's fully formed, taking the shape of this Echo and the Bunnymen album, and now it's smashing out of the sewers, ready to smoke ruin across the land. But wait, it's caught a look at its own reflection in the mirror, and is seeing the damage it's done to the legacy of Echo and the Bunnymen. And now, in a state of abject despair, it's decided to end its own life by repeatedly dashing its brains out on the nearest parking meter. This album sucks. 1 star, may God have mercy on your soul. Coming in second and taking home 2 points, we have 413 Dream by The Cure. So, as I said on the previous entry, whatever X-element spark The Cure had has long evaporated. Here they're just ho-humming along in autopilot mode, but this is a bit better than the self-titled through the aspect of just having a better sound quality and more variety, but there's just nothing remarkable about this record. I mean, there's nothing awful about it either, it's just dead center in the unassuming world of beige mediocrity. But I'll be extremely gracious and give it 3 stars. Coming in first and taking home the full 3 points for this round, we have I Am Not a Dog on a Chain by Morrissey, and on this, Morrissey finally turns in the dreaded synth-pop direction, but you know what? It's not half bad. The synth-pop palette actually suits his voice really well, and the majority of the track listing is amazing. Jim Jim Falls is hilarious, Love Is On Its Way Out, Knockabout World, and Once I Saw the River Clean are really catchy synth numbers. Bobby Don't You Think They Know has an almost jazzy looseness to it, and What Kind of People Live in These Houses is a delightful return to old school jangle. So yeah, this is just a really solid Morrissey record, 4 stars. So here we are at the top of the mountain, and my very subjective results are finally in, and we have a 2-way tie. Echo and the Bunnymen and The Cure are tying for 3rd place, both with 31 points, while Morrissey and the Divine Comedy are tying for 1st place with 32 points. A real close run race, this one. So, here are your glorious winners of this Into the Ranker Pit slugfest, the Divine Comedy and Morrissey. And yeah, I'm sure you might not well agree with this result. Hell, I'm not even sure if I agree with this result myself, but I guess that's the interesting thing about this format, even though it is complete nonsense. But ultimately, what were the takeaways from this, other than all 4 of these artists being absolutely amazing? Well, in this format it's all about consistency. Both the Divine Comedy and Morrissey are less flashy and have lower highs than The Cure or Echo and the Bunnymen. But on the flip side, they also don't have the drizzling lows of those artists either. And it was fun to see the ebbs and flows of this particular contest. Echo and the Bunnymen dominated the early going with their flawless 80s releases. The Cure dominated the mid-period with some really exceptional work, while the Divine Comedy surprised with their quality late-career renaissance. Morrissey, on the other hand, didn't really have any peaks, but instead was just always in there with that consistency. And that's it, that's my list. I hope you had fun. If you want to tabulate your own results down in the comment section, go ahead. I mean, I'd love to see your own take on this. Otherwise, you can just sound off and say which artist would have won for you and why. Other than that, please have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, but most importantly, just keep on ranking.